Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. Today is Tuesday, February 12th, 2019. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's college hoops, NBA, and NHL games, look ahead to tonight's games in each of those sports. Antonio Brown requests a trade. I'll do my MLB catchers rankings as spring training is beginning, and my best bet of the day. All right, college hoops we go. Not many games on last night's slate. Number 4, Virginia defeats number 8, North Carolina, 69-61. Great win for Virginia, making its case for a 1 seed. They're 21-2. UNC's 19-5. DeAndre Hunter had 20, and Kobe White led UNC, scoring with 17. Norfolk State defeats Florida A&M, 66-54. Norfolk goes to 14-11. A&M drops to 10-16. Nick Thomas led Norfolk in scoring with 26 points, and Justin Ravenel led Florida A&M in scoring with 18. Bucknell defeats Lehigh 87-75. Bucknell 17-8. Lehigh 16-8. Kumbal McKenzie leads Bucknell in scoring with 27 points, and James Karnick leads Lehigh in scoring with 21. South Carolina State defeats Coppin State 85-84. South Carolina State 6-20. Coppin 5-21. Damani Applewhite led South Carolina State in scoring with 21 points, and Deshaun Clayton led Coppin in scoring with 30. Savannah State defeats Morgan State 88-85. Savannah State 9-15. Morgan State 8-16. Jaquan Dotson led Savannah State in scoring with 18 points, and Stanley Davis led Morgan State in scoring with 21. North Carolina A&T defeats Maryland Eastern 68-61. NCAT 13-11. UMass 4-23. Ibrahim Silla led A&T in scoring with 14, and Ryan Andino led UMass in scoring with 11. Howard defeats Bethune-Cookman 79-73. Howard 12-13, Bethune-Cookman 11-14. Clattrell Pope led BC in scoring with 19, and RJ Cole led Howard in scoring with 32. NC Central defeats Delaware State 87-52. Central 12-13, Delaware State 4-20. Zachary Douglas led NC Central in scoring with 19, and Kevin Larkin led Delaware State in scoring with 19 as well. Arkansas Pine Bluff defeats Alabama A&M 69-60. Pine Bluff 9-15, Bama A&M 5-20. Martavius McKnight led Pine Bluff in scoring with 24, and Jalen Reeder led Alabama A&M in scoring with 15. Alabama State defeats Mississippi Valley State 82-59. Alabama State 9-13. Valley State 3-22. Jacoby Ross led Bama State in scoring with 17, and Jordan Evans led Valley State in scoring with 21. Grambling defeats Alcorn State 65-53. Grambling 13-11. Alcorn 8-15. Ivy Smith Jr. led Grambling in scoring with 16. And with 16 on the other side for Alcorn State, Tremaine Crosby. Southern defeats Jackson State 76-67. Southern 4-20. Jackson State 9-15. Jaden Sadler of Southern led them in scoring with 20, and Jackson State's leading scorer of the night was Vinji Wallace with 23. Number 14, Kansas upsets TCU 82-77 in overtime. Why is it an upset? Because a ranked team was an underdog. They're 19-6, TCU 17-7. Finally, Kansas gets a big win without Udika Azubuike and LaGerald Vick. Devin Dotson had 25 to lead Kansas in scoring, and Desmond Bain led TCU in scoring with 18, and Kansas outscored TCU 13-8 in overtime. Baylor defeats Oklahoma 59-53. Good bounce back win for Baylor. They're 16-8, and Oklahoma drops to 15-10. Devontae Bandu led Baylor in scoring with 19, and Kristen Doolittle led Oklahoma in scoring with 14. Sacramento State defeats Portland State 78-67. Sacramento State 10-11. Portland State 9-14. Ethan Esposito had 16 for Sacramento State, and Michael Nuga had 19 for Portland State. Tonight's slate, 6:30 on the Big Ten Network. You have number 12 Purdue at number 24 Maryland. These two teams are combined 35-12. Purdue has been rolling. They're a 2-point favorite. I think they're going to win and going to cover. Maryland's a good team. I know I won't be surprised if Maryland wins because they're home, but I just like how Carson Edwards and this Purdue team has been playing. And they've won, I believe, 6 straight games. St. Bonaventure at St. Joseph, 6:30 on the CBS Sports Network. St. Joseph's is a 1.5-point favorite. I think they win and cover. Phil Martelli recently lost his dad, and they put an inspiring effort in beating, I believe it was St. Louis on Friday night at home in a nationally televised game. I think they're going to win again and get themselves within one game of 500 on the year. 7 o'clock on ESPN, number 19 LSU and number 5 Kentucky. Kentucky's an 8-point favorite. I think they're going to win. And you know what? I think they're going to cover too. I don't feel good about them covering, but I think they're going to do it because Kentucky's been on a roll. LSU's been very good too, and I won't be surprised if this game is competitive until the end. But I'd be surprised if LSU went outright. But Kentucky's just better and more talented. P.J. Washington's been playing good basketball lately. On ESPN 2 tonight, you have number 11 Michigan State and number 20 Wisconsin. Michigan State's actually 1.5-point road favorite. I think the wrong team's favored here. I think Wisconsin's going to bounce back from their loss against Michigan and get the win at home against Wisconsin. So give me Ethan have to lead the way for the Badgers to get the home win. Number 25 Buffalo at Akron. Buffalo's favored by 7.5. I think they're going to win and cover. Northern Illinois and Western Michigan, you have in the ESPNU, Pitt at Boston College. Boston College is favored by 2.5. I think Boston College wins and covers to get above 500. They've been a good home team. 7 o'clock on the SEC Network, Georgia at Texas A&M. A&M's a 5-point favorite. A&M had a good win the other day. I think they followed it up with another win here, and I think they'll cover. Georgetown, by the way, landed Anthony Edwards, the big recruit, top 5 recruit in next year's class. Great get for Georgia and Tom Crean, and that could be a surprise contender next year. So I wouldn't be stunned if Tom Crean's team suddenly gets up and plays and somehow won the game outright, because there's a lot more optimism around that program than there was maybe a year ago or so. On ESPN Plus, you have Davidson at Fordham. Davidson's laying 7.5. They're I think the best team in the A-10, led by the best player and Kellen Gardy, and I think they're going to win and cover against Fordham. Rider and Quinnipiac, Central Michigan at Bowling Green. By the way, those two teams are combined 32-14. Bowling Green's a 6.5-point favorite. I'll pick the game because these two teams are pretty good in the MAC. And Bowling Green, I believe, is in first place in that conference right now. I projected them to get the auto bid and for Buffalo to get an at-large when I did my bracket thing on Friday. I'm going to do another one this Friday because a lot of things have happened since, and Kansas has put up some good wins. Marquette got a big win since, and I would like to adjust some things from last week. And I really do like this Bowling Green team, and I think they're going to win and cover here. Eastern Michigan at Ohio, number 10 Marquette at DePaul at 8 o'clock. Marquette's a 3-point favorite. They're clearly suggesting that this is a trap game and that DePaul has a chance to win. DePaul is improved this year. They're over 500. They deserve a lot of credit. They're a dark horse to get into the tournament. If they win this game, then they have to be considered a serious contender for an at-large. And yes, I'm saying that about DePaul. But I don't think DePaul's going to win because, well, it's DePaul. And Marquette is the best player on the court in Marcus Howard. So give me Marquette to win and cover there. And I think they win by double digits as well. Drake at Southern Illinois, 8:30 on the Big Ten Network. Number 6, Michigan at Penn State. Michigan's favored by 6.5. They're going to win and cover. Penn State is the second worst team in the Big Ten. 8:30 on the CBS Sports Network. Butler at St. John's. St. John's is playing at the Lou tonight. Seems like they play better at the Lou than they play at the Garden, which is very surprising to me. You would think that they would play better at MSG, but that's not the case, as they lost to Providence there on Sunday, and they've won all their bigger games this year at the Lou. And St. John's is favored by 4. They have to win this game after losing to Providence. So I think they'll bounce back here and win. I won't be floored if it's a double-digit game. Best game of the night, 9 o'clock on ESPN. Number 2, Duke, and number 16, Louisville. Duke is an 8-point favorite. That is ridiculously high. I think Duke should be favored by 3. Yes, I did just say 3. Chris Mack has something great going on with this Cardinal team. Guess what? I'm going to be ballsy, and I know I'm going to be called out tonight if I'm wrong, but I think Louisville's going to win outright. It's just a gut feeling I have. That crowd's going to be fired up. Jordan Nwora, Kristen Cunningham, those guys are going to lead the way for the Cardinals to pull off what I believe will be a big, big time upset this week in college basketball. So give me Louisville at home to cap off yet another signature win for Chris Mack in that building. And that would be the best win they've had all year. Even better than winning at Chapel Hill, because Duke's the best team in the country from a talent standpoint. They have the best coach in the country, Mike Krzyzewski. Well, the best coach in my opinion. And the best player in the country in Zion Williamson. Arguably the second best player in the country in R.J. Barrett. Or I should say second most talented player. Second best player in the country right now I'd say is John Moran of Murray State. But I'd say R.J. Barrett's a top 5 player in the country. But Zion's easily the best player in the country. And I just think they have an excellent chance to do this tonight. And another guy you guys can't sleep on for Louisville is Ryan McMahon, who's a great three-point shooter. And he'll get the center going. So give me Louisville straight up. Taking that from CBS Sports Network's Gary Parrish, who likes to call straight up on his Eye on College Basketball podcast. So I'm calling the Louisville straight up. On ESPN2 at 9 o'clock, you have 18 Kansas State at Texas. Texas is favored by 2.5. I think the wrong team's favored here. Kansas State's playing great basketball. They're finally ranked. They're going to pull off the road upset. And let's put that in quotes because, well, it shouldn't really be in quotes. Because it is the road upset. You're an underdog and you're ranked. But to me, the quote-unquote upset is when the favored unranked team beats the ranked team. That's when you put quotes on it. So this isn't a quote-unquote upset. This is a real upset. So give me Kansas State as the pull up the slim upset on the road to send Texas to yet another disappointing loss after killing West Virginia on Saturday night. SEC Network, Alabama and Mississippi State. Mississippi State's favored by 5.5. I think that Alabama's played some great ball. I think Avery Johnson's going to eventually take this team to the tournament because they've picked off some good teams this year. The most notably Kentucky at home, and then they went toe-to-toe with Tennessee. I think Mississippi State's going to win this game, but I think the Tide stay in and they'll stay within the number. ESPNU, Arkansas at Missouri. Arkansas is a 1.5 favorite. I think this is a trap game, so I'm going to say Missouri wins at home to hurt Arkansas's chances of getting an at-large bid. 10:30 on the CBS Sports Network. Air Force at UNLV. UNLV is favored by 9. I think they'll win and cover. 11 o'clock on ESPN2. San Diego State and Colorado State. San Diego State's favored by 2.5 points. I think they win and cover and avoid the dreaded trap and letdown. NBA. 9-game slate last night with some interesting results. The Cavaliers defeat the Knicks 107, or I should say it's the other way around. Cleveland's 12-45, Knicks are 10-46. That is the 17th straight loss for the Knicks. Franchise record. Kadeem Allen actually led the Knicks in scoring. He's played some good ball for them coming off the bench of late. He had 25. Mitchell Robinson had 10 off the bench. As for the starters, Kevin Knox had 13. DeAndre Jordan had 12 with 10 boards. And Dennis Smith Jr. had 10. Meanwhile, for Cleveland, Colin Sexton had 20. Kevin Love had 14 with 9 boards. Only played 16 minutes. I think the Cavs are trying the tank as much as the Knicks are. You saw it in that game for those of you who watched it. And Larry Nance Jr. had 15. Off the bench, Marquise Chris had 14, Matthew Dellavedova had 12, and Jordan Clarkson had 15. The Pistons defeat the Wizards 121-112. Detroit 26-29. Washington 24-33. Andre Drummond 32 points and 17 boards. Blake Griffin had 31 with 9 and 9. Reggie Jackson had 16. Off the bench, Luke Kennard had 15. Meanwhile, for Washington, Bradley Beal had 32 points, 6 boards, and 10 assists. He's been playing great. Trevor Ariza had 23 with 5 assists and 7 boards. Bobby Portis had 24 off the bench, and Jordan McRae off the bench had 10. The Pacers defeat the Hornets 99-90. I believe that's 6 straight wins for Indiana post the Oladipo injury. They are 38-19. Charlotte's 27-29. Miles Turner had 18. Darren Collison had 13. Bojan Bogdanovic had 14. Thaddeus Young had 11. And off the bench, Tyreek Evans had 12. Moving on for Charlotte, Kemba Walker had 34 with 9 rebounds. Cody Zeller, 18 points and 9 boards. Jeremy Lamb had 21 with 7 boards. The Raptors defeat the Nets 127-125. This was a great game. Good for Brooklyn for hanging in there. Kawhi Leonard hit the game winner with 4.2 seconds left. Toronto goes to 42-16. Brooklyn's 29-29. Leonard himself had 30 points with 8 assists. Pascal Siakam had 17. Serge Ibaka had 18 with 12 boards. Kyle Lowry had 13. Off the bench, Marcus Gasol had 16. Patrick McCaw had 13. And for Brooklyn, Joe Harris had 24, including 7 3-pointers. D'Angelo Russell had 28 points and 14 assists and 7 boards. Jared Allen had 15. And off the bench, Shavaz Napier had 10. And Alan Crabb had 22. DeMarre Carroll did not play to a sore left knee. The Bucks defeat the Bulls 112-99. Milwaukee 42-14. Chicago 13-44. Giannis Antetokounmpo 29 points, 17 boards, and 8 assists. Chris Middleton had 16. Eric Bledsoe had 19. Malcolm Brogdon had 17. Off the bench, Ersan Ilyasova had 12. Meanwhile, for Chicago, Lauri Markkanen 20 with 17 boards. Otto Porter had 18 with 7 boards. Robin Lopez had 17. Zach LaVine had 27. Their bench didn't do anything. The Rockets defeat the Mavericks 120-104. Good win for Houston. They are 33-23. Dallas is 26-30. James Harden, 31 points with 8 boards and 7 assists. Chris Paul, 17 points and 11 assists. Kenneth Faried had 17. Eric Gordon had 18. And off the bench, Gerald Green had 19. Nene didn't play due to a calf injury. Luka Doncic, 21 points, 10 boards, 8 assists. Jalen Brunson had 13. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 10. And Dwight Powell off the bench had 12. The Timberwolves defeat the Clippers 130-120. Minnesota 26-30. Clippers 31-27. Karl Anthony Towns 24 points and 10 boards. Jeff Teague had 19 with 10 assists. Josh Okogie had 10. Luol Deng had 12. Dario Saric had 19. Off the bench, Taj Gibson had 14 and Derrick Rose had 22. Lou Williams had 45 off the bench. That's unbelievable. Landry Shamet had 15. Montrezl Harrell had 18. Jermichael Green had 11. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 10. Danilo Gallinari had 12. The Thunder defeat the Blazers 120-111. Good win for Oklahoma City. They're 37-19. Portland's 33-23. Same record as Houston. Paul George, 47 points, 12 boards, 10 assists. Russell Westbrook, 21 points, 14 boards, and 11 assists. So 2 triple-doubles for the 2 Oklahoma City Stars. Raymond Felton had 15 and with 18 off the bench. Deontay Burton had 18 with 3 3-pointers. Dennis Schroeder did not play due to personal issues. Damian Lillard had 31 with 7 boards and 6 assists. CJ McCollum and Nala Aminu each had 13. And Jake Layman off the bench had 17. The Nuggets defeat the Heat 103-87. Good win for Denver. They're 38-18. Miami's 25-30. Nikola Jokic, 23 points. The go with 12 boards. Mason Plumlee had 11. Malik Beasley had 23, including 5 3-pointers. Jamal Murray had 10 off the bench. Monte Morris had 17, moving out for Miami. Justice Winslow had 15. Josh Richardson had 12. Deion Waiters and Kelly Olynyk each had 11. And James Johnson off the bench had 14. Tonight's slate, only 5 games, 7:30. You have the Lakers at the Hawks. That is a trap game for the Lakers. I won't be surprised if Atlanta wins that game. I am just saying, I do think the Lakers will win. If you ask me, I think it's 60-40 that the Lakers win. I think it'll be a close game. John Collins, who's a star in the making, will keep Atlanta in it. And I think the Lakers are going to be a little bit disinterested, and then LeBron brings them back late. I won't be surprised if the Hawks have a double-digit lead at some point in this game. And it'll be very reminiscent of the Boston game from Thursday night. I'm just throwing that out there. I think there's a chance the Lakers lose tonight, and people are going to be freaking out. 8 o'clock on TNT of the Celtics at the 76ers. Philly's a whopping 7-point favorite, and that's because Kyrie Irving's not playing tonight due to knee soreness. I think the Sixers are going to win again by double digits because they've just been on a roll since the Tobias Harris trade. They killed the Lakers. I think they're going to kill the Celtics, and especially without Kyrie Irving. So give me Philly. I think they'll win this game by 15 points. I'd say like 120-105. Joel Embiid, I think, will come close to a triple-double. I could see him having a 30-15-7 game. The Spurs at the Grizzlies, the Magic at the Pelicans, and at 10:30 on TNT, the Jazz at the Warriors. Golden State's favored by 9. I think Golden State wins, but Utah covers. I think it'll be a close game. Utah likes playing against the Warriors, and they always like to be competitive. Donovan Mitchell's going to have a big game. Rudy Gobert will rebound the basketball. Yeah, they have Boogie back, and they've been better with Boogie. And they've only lost once since they got Boogie. Now it's ironically to Philadelphia. I mean, that was before Philly got even better with the Tobias Harris trade. So, Warriors win, Jazz cover. I think Warriors win by 6. This will be the better of the 2 TNT games tonight. NHL. Only 3 games last night. The Penguins defeat the Flyers 4-1 on NBC Sports Network. That was a huge win for Pittsburgh to snap their losing streak. First regulation loss for Philly in a month. Pittsburgh's 29-20-7. Philly is 25-24-7. Number 1 started the game at 50 saves on 51 shots. Matt Murray. Number 2 started the game with the goal and 2 assists. Sidney Crosby. Number 3 started the game with the goal. Jake Voracek. The Capitals defeat the Kings 6-4. I thought about having the Capitals on the best bet from yesterday, but I backed off because they've been kind of teetering, and LA's actually played pretty well on the East Coast, and they beat the Rangers, beat the Devils. I believe they took the Islanders to a shootout or overtime, and then I know they knocked off Philly as well. Washington 31-18-7, LA 23-28-5. Number 1 started the game with 2 goals and 2 assists, Evgeny Kuznetsov. Number 2 started the game with 2 goals, Austin Wagner. Number 3 started the game with the goal and 2 assists, Alex Ovechkin. The Sharks defeat the Canucks 7-2, 6 straight wins for San Jose. They're now in first place in the Pacific Division and in the Western Conference. I think they are emerging as the team to beat in the West. This was my Stanley Cup pick before the year. It is looking a little bit better by their best stretch of the year, and I don't think Erik Karlsson's healthy. I think he's been out the last couple games, if I'm not mistaken. He might be back, I'm not sure. San Jose is 34-16-7. Vancouver's 25-25-7. Number 1 started the game with the goal and assist, Thomas Hertl. Number 2 started the game with the 2 goals, Evander Kane. Number 3 started the game with no points. He just had a great game, Marco Eduardo Vlasic. And yes, Erik Karlsson is back, so that's good news for the Sharks. Tonight's slate's big. 7 o'clock, NBCSN, the Blackhawks at the Bruins. I do not know who will be on the call for this game. I didn't even know that this game was on the schedule. I didn't even see it when I was going through the nationally televised hockey schedule for the week. If I had to make a guess who's on the call this game, I'm going to say maybe Gordon Miller and Brian Boucher. Chris Cuthbert and Brian Boucher. I know it's not going to be John Forsling because the Hurricanes are at the Senators tonight. And it's not Kenny Albert and Joe Micheletti involved because the Rangers are at the Jets. So we'll see who's on the call if I had to make a guess. And hey, I won't be shocked if it's NBC Chicago's telecast with Pat Foley and Eddie Olczyk. So I wouldn't be stunned if that was a simulcast. And on the flip side, I wouldn't be stunned if Andy Brickley was on NBCSN if NESN wasn't carrying the game. But my guess is that both NBC Chicago and NESN are carrying the game, and that NBC's bringing their own crew with, I'm going to guess Gordon Miller and either Ray Ferraro or Brian Boucher. Let's go with Boucher. Islanders Sabres is also at 7 o'clock. Oh no, I didn't even make a pick for Blackhawks Bruins. I'm going to say that the Blackhawks winning streak comes to an end finally tonight as the Bruins get a big win on home ice in the 2013 Stanley Cup Final rematch. Yeah, so Islanders Sabres, that's a big one in Buffalo. Stars Panthers, Capitals Blue Jackets, Hurricane Senators at 7:30, Flames Lightning, 8 o'clock Devils Blues, Rangers Jets, Red Wings Predators, Flyers Wild, 9 o'clock Maple Leafs Avalanche, and at 10 o'clock the Coyotes at the Golden Knights. Today, Antonio Brown requested a trade from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know if it was today or not. I don't think so. I just said today because it was reported today by Adam Schefter after Antonio Brown sent out a tweet about an hour and a half ago. He said, "Thank you, Steeler Nation, for a big 9 years. Time to move on and forward. #new demands." So he basically knows that he's going to be cut or traded. That's my big takeaway, but the league new year doesn't begin until, I believe the date is March 13th. That is a month from tomorrow. It could be March 12th, which is a month from today, but I think it's the 13th. It's the Wednesday. So it's going to be very interesting to see who moves and what the Steelers end up doing. They're going to be in a rebuild potentially because Roethlisberger's not getting any younger. Brown's going to be traded. Bell's going to leave in free agency. Guess you build around James Conner. Maybe you see in spring training, in the preseason, what you have in your backup quarterbacks, Mason Rudolph and Josh Dobbs, and see if you have a post-Roethlisberger future. But expectations are going to be lower than usual for this team because of Brown and Bell's departures. And let's face it, the team that I think should be the favorites to win the AFC North next year, the Cleveland Browns. They have the best roster in that division, and I don't think it's that close. Baker Mayfield, they've signed Kareem Hunt. They're in play for Antonio Brown, I believe. More in play than you think, even though they're an in-division team, especially if he gets cut. I could totally see the Browns going after him. They're going to make some win-now moves. They'll improve their offensive line. Myles Garrett's a franchise player on the pass rush. Denzel Ward's a star corner. They have, I think, the brightest future in that division. I'd pick them to win that division next year, and I'm sure a lot of other people in the media will as well. Before I do my best bet, I'm going to rank the baseball catchers that are all the projected starters. Some of them are still free agents out there, and some of them are backup catchers that will see a lot of playing time because they're either A, better than a normal backup, or B, the catcher that they back up is either injury prone or sometimes struggles. To the list we go. I have 42 catchers on here. Number 42 is Grayson Greiner of the Detroit Tigers. He's actually slated to be their starter right now. He is probably the worst projecting starter on the list. Well, he is on my rankings, the worst projected starter according to me. Numbers 41 and 40 are Austin Wynns and Chance Sisco of the Orioles, respectively. I think Sisco's going to get the starting job. He struggled last year. Wynns saw most of the playing time last year, but I don't think he's any good either. 39 is Jeff Mathis of the Rangers. He's a light-hitting catcher, good defensive catcher. Number 38 is Kevin Plawecki, now of the Cleveland Indians. He was a highly touted Mets prospect. that never panned out. And number 37 is Roberto Perez of the Indians, who really didn't pan out either for them. They trade away Yan Gomes, so the weak link of that team now is catcher. Maybe they take a chance on a free agent that I think will get signed eventually and who is on my list, obviously a lot higher than this. 36 is Omar Narvaez of the Seattle Mariners. He used to be on the White Sox, and now Narvaez goes into Seattle to be their starter. 35 is Alex Avila of the Diamondbacks. He's a veteran that's past his prime. 34 is Wellington Castillo of the White Sox, former Diamondback. He's had some good spurts here and there, but I don't think he's the long-term answer for Chicago. 33, Sandy Leon of the Boston Red Sox. He's not a good defensive catcher. He can hit, but he does it like in spurts. He got some big hits for them in the playoff run last year. Number 32 and 31, these two guys were breakout, sorta, but not really, but showed flashes. And that is Williams Astudillo of the Twins and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa of the Rangers. Kiner-Falefa is more of an utility guy, but I have him pegged as the backup catcher right now. And Astudillo took over after Jason Castro got hurt and showed flashes, and he's more of a utility guy as well. If both of those guys can replicate or even exceed 2018. 30 is Austin Romine of the Yankees. I think he is a top 3 backup catcher in the league. He had double-digit home runs last year. He had a lot of playing time last year because Gary Sanchez was hurt. But he's a pretty good backup. Another good backup on this list had a fine year, and that was Elias Diaz of the Pirates backing up Francisco Cervelli in Pittsburgh. He did a nice job. 28, Chris Ionetta of the Rockies. He's okay. I think he's past his prime. I remember he was pretty good with the Angels back then. 27, Tyler Flowers of the Braves. I'm not a big Tyler Flowers fan, but he's been good ever since he joined the Atlanta Braves. Number 26 is Christian Vasquez of the Red Sox. To me, he's just average. He got some big hits for them in their playoff run. He'll be their number 9 hitter this year. Number 25 is Devin Mesoraco of the Mets. He was acquired for Matt Harvey in that deal last spring. He's not going to be their starter this year because they acquired Wilson Ramos, but he is not terrible. 24 is Jason Castro of the Twins. I don't think he's very good. He got hurt last year. 23 is Jonathan Lucroy of the Angels. I think he's past his prime. He's not the same player as he was with the Brewers all those years ago. 22, Austin Barnes of the Dodgers, one of the better backup catchers in the league. Number 21, Kurt Suzuki of the Nationals. He's projected to be a backup this year behind Yan Gomes. 20, Tucker Barnhart of the Reds. He had a career year last year. I'm interested to see if he replicates that. And I know the Reds were looking at JT Realmuto, and I wonder if that's because that they think that Barnhart isn't the answer long term. I know they have the prospect Tyler Stevenson, who they really like, and I think that's who they want to be their long-term answer now that they lost out on Realmuto. Number 19, Sandy Jansen of the Toronto Blue Jays. They are banking on Jansen to be their franchise catcher. He showed flashes after getting called up at the end of last year. 18, Carson Kelly, Diamondbacks. I think this could be the breakout catcher of 2019. He was the main piece going back to Arizona in the Paul Goldschmidt deal from St. Louis. Number 17 is Matt Wieters, who's currently a free agent. A number of different teams can use him, such as the Athletics or the Tigers. Somebody that has a hole in catcher. I just rattled off 2 teams. Even the White Sox, I think, can use an upgrade at that position. Number 16 is Yan Gomes of the Nationals. who was up and down with the Indians, and the Nats got him in a deal very early in the offseason. 15 is Robinson Chirinos of the Astros, who's a solid catcher. And I think it was a catcher that improved over the last couple years. He'll be hitting 9th for the Astros, which I think Chirinos, that's his ceiling, the 9th hitter in a good lineup. Number 14, Russell Martin, Dodgers. I think he's going to be somewhat rejuvenated on a contender. Number 13, Jorge Alfaro of the Marlins. This is the other candidate for me to be the big breakout catcher of 2019. He was the key piece that went from Texas to Philadelphia in the Columbus deal, and now from Philadelphia to Miami in the JT Realmuto deal. Number 12 is somebody else that I think is going to be rejuvenated by being on a good team, and that's Brian McCann of the Braves. That was his hometown team, and I think he's happy to be back home. I won't be surprised if he exceeds 20 home runs this year. Number 11, Wilson Ramos, Mets. I think that this will prove to be a good signing. Dark horse all-star candidate in the National League for the catcher position, which is very weak. Number 10, Francisco Cervelli of the Pirates. A very, very solid catcher. But my fear is that this guy isn't going to exceed what he is. But that's okay. And he's a solid defensive catcher. And he's just a good clubhouse guy in general. Number 9 is Yasmani Grandal of the Brewers. A bad defensive catcher, but a very good offensive catcher, which will make up for it in that lineup. Number 8, Francisco Mejia of the Padres, who was the key piece in the Brad Hand trade from the Indians. I think the Padres wanted to flip Mejia in any deal for an ace pitcher or for JT Realmuto, but they lost out on Realmuto, and I don't think Cleveland's trading any of their aces. That'd be ironic if Cleveland got Mejia back in any deal for Bauer or Kluber. But I think Mejia is another candidate to be the breakout catcher of 2019. 7, Mike Zunino, Rays. I think that this guy is underrated. Not a good defensive catcher, and he doesn't hit for average, but he's a good power hitting catcher. And I think this could be a steal in the favor of Tampa Bay. 6, Buster Posey, Giants. I just think his best days are behind him, and he's stuck on this bad Giants team. But I think he'll put up some good numbers. 5, Yadier Molina, Cardinals. Who knew he had a second prime in him? Like, he has become more of a power hitting catcher than he normally has. And I'm interested to see if he continues that. Number 4, Wilson Contreras, Cubs. I'm very optimistic that Contreras will bounce back from what I thought was a disappointing year for him last year. 3, Salvador Perez. I think he will be the best catcher traded during the season. 2, JT Realmuto, Phillies. I just need to see Realmuto be healthy a full season before I put him at the number 1 spot. He's probably the best, quote-unquote, all-around catcher in the game because he's a good defensive catcher and he hits for average and some power. But number 1 is Gary Sanchez of the New York Yankees. Yes, he's a liability defensively, but this guy has 40 home run potential. And he could be a 280 hitter with over 100 RBIs. And I'm sorry, that makes you the best catcher in the game, regardless of your defensive deficiencies. And I expect a big bounce-back season from Sanchez, and that could very well be the difference as the Yankees could potentially take the division crown away from Boston. And tomorrow I'm going to be doing first base rankings. Now I'm going to do my best bet brought to you by FanDuel. I don't know how I did on yesterday's best bet because the tennis ones were still pending. But as far as I know is that I know I didn't lose any of the basketball or the other tennis games or matches, my bad, that went final. There's a lot to choose from. A lot of NHL games tonight. There's some bad teams against some very good teams. And the same for college. I'm going to go with... I'm not going to take any college basketball games because they're all single-digit lines. I'm not taking the Lakers. I'm going to take the 76ers. I know it's a ballsy move. And I'm going to take the Warriors, too. Yes, ballsy, because I think Utah can win. I don't think Boston has a chance without Irving, personally. That's why I love Philly so much. Let's look at tennis. Let's go with Karen Khachanov over Talon Griskpour. Overnight, we'll go with Daniil Medvedev over Jeremy Chardy. Joe Wilfred Songa over Thomas Fabiano. Stefano Tsitsipas over Damir Dazmer. And that's in the 500 series, obviously. And then we'll go with some of the doubles. We'll go with Bradley and Kirsheimer over Hasse and Wilson. We'll go with a single in Olivares over McDaniels. And that's obviously today, this afternoon. We'll go with Radlicki and Sell over Eriksson, Zavertz, and Saikut. I'm talking about tennis right now. And then overnight, Popko over Borza. That's 10. Let's wager $1 to win $4.36. The odds are plus 435, and the payout will be $5.36. That's it for the podcast today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping college basketball, NBA, and NHL. Look ahead to tomorrow's games in each of those slate. I guess I'll do my NBA power rankings tomorrow. I was going to do them today, but I got caught up with the Antonio Brown stuff, and I wanted to talk about that. Obviously, that was bigger news. So we'll do NBA power rankings tomorrow. We'll do MLB first baseman, and obviously my best bet as well. I hope you guys have a great day.